Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest comic book versus video. I haven't done one of these videos in a while. In fact, the last go around was January of this year. So looking at some of the past videos, looking at the good comments, the good analytics associated with them, I thought to myself, why not? Why not mix another one of these in here, see what your thoughts are, and then see if y'all want me to continue doing this series, and then maybe even mix in some suggestions and so on to make it a regular playlist going forward. But let me know please in the comments. Please post them below and then I'll take a look afterwards. In this case, I wanted to feature a fan favorite fight, one that to this day is still so surprising that it hasn't happened yet, especially considering how almost eerily similar, parallel these two combatants are. And interestingly enough, both of them are now owned by Marvel, or in a way are within the Marvel universe. So who knows if this will still happen sometime in the future. One hopes so, but I'm going to talk about it here, and that is this: the Punisher versus the Predator. Definitely great stuff when it comes to this type of fight. I easily foresee this being a bestseller if it ever truly does happen. You could probably have it be like a 3-parter or 5-parter deluxe series, and it'll definitely have a good number of purchases. So come on, Marvel, go ahead and make this series, and then that way everyone will enjoy it afterwards. But in the meantime, let's talk about what would happen within these two combatants, and then again, I'd love to hear what your thoughts and comments are. So Punisher versus Predator, yes indeed, this would be a dream come true for many fans out there. I'm a fan of both franchises. I love many of the works associated with the Punisher, from the comics to the movies, to the graphic novels and so on. And of course the Predator has very similar when it comes to its franchise. It has the movies, it has the novels, it has the games as well. Great stuff all around. But again, never really anything involving comic books, like when it comes to the two of them battling things out, which is very interesting because both are again parallel. They're very equal in a lot of ways. Both of them are very brutal, very savage when it comes to their tactics, and both of them are equally relentless as well. In the case of the Punisher, it's tracking down all the bad guys. In the case of the Predator, it's tracking down whoever it's hunting at the time. And then interestingly enough, both have a parallel type of honor code as well. Obviously with the Punisher, it's him not attacking any innocents, and with the Predator, it's usually on the lines of not attacking any women, children, sick, or incapacitated people. It definitely wants to have a fair fight when it comes to its hunting, and so in that case you can see how both kind of follow some kind of weird honor code. But again, both are equal in fights. I think the one thing that'll make a big difference between them, because both of them have taken on multiple people, both of them have won lots of fights that otherwise they would have normally been outranked or outsized. But I think the big difference will be their surroundings. For example, if something like this were to occur, let's say in a big jungle setting, it's easy to see that the Predator could become the victor. You just have to look obviously at the original film, 1987 film. This is a film where it used that jungle surroundings to blend in much more easily. It was able to ambush from multiple locations as well, even when it in turn was being attacked from multiple places. It could also easily set up multiple traps too, lay in wait, set those traps and so on, and use those surroundings to make those things almost hidden / invisible. And you saw in the first movie and then some of the other ones as well, how the Predator took on what could be considered multiple Punishers. Like in the first movie, there was that elite squad of military men. They were all pretty much alpha in their own ranks, very good at what they did, and yet still the Predator took them mostly all of them down. Obviously with Schwarzenegger's character, he ended up living but barely towards the very end. So this type of surrounding, the jungle type of environment, would absolutely tip things in favor for the Predator. Now, on the opposite end, if such a battle were to occur in a city, let's say New York City or some other type of very large concrete jungle, if you will, the Punisher would easily win something along those lines. This is because this is his layout. This is something that he's been doing for who knows how many decades now. This is a type of opportunity where he could easily do more of the same blitz attacks that the Predator would do from the jungle, but in this case, the Punisher is doing here in the city. In fact, that's what he's most famously known for, is just being relentless with his attacks. Multiple mob soldiers and multiple other people, other villains who have taken on the Punisher have realized that the Punisher just keeps hitting and doesn't quit until the job is done. So that's the type of attack he could easily do there in the city. And then other examples include, there's that famous, or I like it, I don't know if it's really too famous, but there's that Punisher run that was on the Punisher Max City called Valley Forge, and in that one, he in turn took on a squadron of elite soldiers, each one on their end very good at what they did. They had their own similar decades of experience, so he was able to take on multitudes of them and took them down all at the same time while keeping them alive. So in other words, taking them down just by knocking them out, but purposely doing so in terms of not killing them. So it goes to show that him being able to take on a Predator in the city, considering these other type of instances where he's taking on others with similar aptitudes, and you have an example of how easily the Punisher could win in the city. So all that in mind, how would this match go? I imagine a story like this, Punisher versus Predator, it would probably start just like most of the other Predator tales with the deaths of certain people. In this case, it could be the deaths of criminals, where all of a sudden they're starting to be found skinned, or something else has been happening to them, mutilated and so on. Or maybe even the death of innocents. Same thing, where let's say if this was a predator that had gone rogue and was no longer living by its honor system, could be attacking others. Either way, though, these type of deaths would catch the Punisher's attention, and so Frank would decide that he would try to investigate it. Again, leading through those bodies of findings of skinned bodies and so on. He would probably think it was something along the lines of some kind of gang initiation or some really psychotic criminal, someone that has just gone too far this time. Never thinking again that this could be an out-of-this-world alien life form. Instead, he's just thinking it's a regular person. He would eventually track this type of stuff to the Predator's lair. But as we've seen in the movies and then in some of the other franchises as well, Predator's lair could be attached to a ship, but it would not be recognizable at first. So again, Frank could be thinking that it's just a regular situation, a criminal, in other words, not an out-of-this-world alien. And so he would go in thinking that he would just be taking on the same thing as he usually does, but the Predator could have the first upper hand here because he would not expect something that would be unseen, almost invisible with its cloaking technology. Again, he would be thinking it's some common hood that he's about to take down. But no, such surprise like that involving the invisibility, coupled with those melee of weapons that the Predator beautifully has, like that mini shoulder cannon, and then also that net, that deadly net, and then also the spear that apparently goes through most items, including metal. And here you have a situation where the Predator could take on Frank, the Punisher, and then end up almost winning if but for the fact that some accident might save the Punisher at that time. The only reason I would think that Frank would be at the closest to his death here is because this would all be a quick surprise to him. Even as good as he is, he would again never be expecting to find this type of species involving a predator. And instead, there he is meeting him for the first time. And then maybe something along the lines of some kind of building collapsing or something else occurring that keeps Frank safe but hidden at the same time. That could be the way that the Punisher escapes this first round. And so I would imagine the next step would be the Punisher would go straight to his hideout, to rest, recuperate, get ready for revenge, but not realizing, again, how the predator thinks, that it lives to hunt. It lives to hunt to the very end. In fact, it doesn't live for greed or for money or for blackmail or for revenge or anything like that, like a common criminal would. Instead, it's going to seek out its target until the very end. And so there he is, all of a sudden, the Punisher once again having an encounter with the Predator, but this time, this is where the Punisher has the upper hand, because the Predator would probably not expect the booby traps galore that Frank would have in his area. Lots of comics have indicated the many ways that the Punisher has booby traps, so much to the point, in fact, that he has different levels of booby traps as well. He has some that are clearly meant to wipe out the enemy, and then others that are meant, if it was more of an innocent or, let's say, law enforcement that came across them, to just surprise them. Not kill them, but just surprise them. But here in this case, he could be leading the Predator to the more lethal ones, and that's as a way to maybe disorient the Predator, try to find his bearings, again, trying to see how he could win this battle. Ultimately, though, I foresee, and obviously a lot of fans would as well, that you would have the Punisher coming out the victor, the ultimate victor, and it's with his military background, his tactical skills, his analytic mind. He would eventually discover, maybe even by accident, how the Predator operates, how it uses that spectrum to find people. And so maybe through some kind of flashbang grenade or maybe some kind of thermite bomb that the Punisher frequently uses, that's when he realizes that he becomes quote-unquote hidden from the Predator. And so using that quick thinking, he could probably combine that with his own night vision goggles, some other type of weaponry to try to find the Predator with his invisibility, or use something else, use some other tactic to make the Predator visible all of a sudden. And the last thing the Predator would expect is close combat fighting. That's how I think the Punisher would win. He would eventually come up, instead of using guns from a far distance, he would come up with a big knife or whatever type of melee weapon he has, and then just start fighting the Punisher hand to hand. Again, something that the Predator, he would start fighting the Predator hand to hand, something again that the Predator would not realize or count on, considering how many other victims that it's had in the past. Remember, Punisher is excellent. He's considered the top fighter within the Marvel Universe, at least when it comes to having no powers. Probably the only other combatant that can beat him is Captain America, and even then, that's debatable because Punisher doesn't really fight Captain America to defeat him. It's to kill him. It's just basically to make sure that nothing bad happens or goes too far with the fight as well. And he's also fought the Batman within some of the other multi-company crossovers from before. So he knows how to fight. So give him a few rounds with the Predator, he would eventually weaken him, maybe even get to the point where the Predator disables him, thinks he has the upper hand, takes out his very large set of gauntlet knives, the kind that almost look like Wolverine's, and is about to decapitate the Predator. But then I imagine Frank would have one last trick of his sleeves, one that I just read in Civil War II, which was one involving the Kingpin. That's where the Punisher had a hidden bomb in his belt area. This was the bomb, the one that says always point front towards enemy. That's the kind of bomb that he had there. So shielded with his classic bulletproof vest underneath it, he would eventually unveil it, and then the Predator, not expecting it, would get blown to bits right there. And Frank might get hurt from it as well, but nothing lethal on that part. And then that's where the Predator would be defeated. It would almost be like an ironic twist to the world of the Predator. You know how the Predator, when it's about to get defeated on multiple occasions, it sets off its own bomb. Here, though, the Punisher would do so, but again, in a way that defeats the Predator while still keeping Frank alive. So otherwise, a brutal, savage fight, one that would definitely cross multiple parts of the city or jungle, and then lots of destruction, lots of ambushing, and then lots of savage takedowns. But here, Punisher would easily win towards the end, and then you have probably another future sequel coming afterward with another set of predators or multiple ones trying to take on Frank at the same time. But let me know what you guys think. Post those comments below. Love to hear what your thoughts are. Who do you think would win in this type of fight? The classic Punisher versus the Predator? Love to hear those thoughts. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care.